to the afternoon panel of San Francisco History Days that commemorates the 75th anniversary of Executive Order 9066. This is a very significant panel and a very significant topic that is...
A little louder, Bill.
Okay. This is a very significant topic and a very significant panel that looks at a San Francisco story because of the fact that Executive Order 9066 impacted many and all of San Francisco's long-standing Japanese American population. I am Bill Doggett. I'm an exhibitions curator who is in room 4, showcasing a document of San Francisco journalism that documents the war hysteria and the racialized fear in print that pushed forward to the American population this notion of fear, of unnecessary fear against an innocent people. So I begin with my slide, a series of slideshows. I am the first of 3 to present today on this subject, and I'm doing something very interesting that will set the tone for the other panelists to follow. Nobody knows the trouble I have seen. Nobody knows my sorrow. Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Oh, yes. Oh, what happened to our slide?
I don't know.
The troubles I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrow. Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. Glory, hallelujah. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down. Oh, yes, Lord. You know, sometimes almost to the ground. Oh, yes, Lord. Orden Kiyoshi Hirabayashi. Minoru Yasui. Toshiro Kobata. Hirota Isomura. James Hatsuki Wakaza. Azakichi Mendoka. Ichiro Shimoda. Hikochi Takeuchi, Frank Hirasawa, Aiko Hamaguchi, Kei Kayayama, Pete Metsui, Rose Kakauchi, Frank Arakawa, Shoichi James Okamoto, Hiroshi Kashiwagi, Manzanar, Tule Lake, Mendoka, Heart Mountain, Topaz. The reading of the names and places, 5 relocation centers and 16 historic and heroic names of the 120,000 Japanese American citizens, from children, men and women to elders, full citizens of the United States who had committed no crime, were guilty of no proven treason other than their racial origin, brings cause for us to reflect in 2017 on a great and inconceivable tragedy. American citizens, stripped of their constitutional right to the pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness, on February 19, 1942, by Executive Order 9066. The commemoration of the events surrounding Executive Order 9066 also gives pause to reflect on the haunting deja vu of our times, the threat of deportation of the undocumented immigrant, the corrosive poison suggested by a Muslim American registry, and the banning of refugees and children orphaned by human rights tragedies from places such as Aleppo, Syria. The intoning of the poignant Negro spiritual, Nobody Knows the Troubles I've Seen, becomes a cross-cultural and a cross-generational anthem and metaphor that speaks beyond the trials and tribulations of enslaved Africans who endured the tragedy of the Middle Passage and slavery, but also speaks to the tragedy of enforced incarceration of Japanese Americans who came to America believing in the promise of an American dream and the value of a life as an American citizen. Executive Order 9066, issued by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was delivered to the American nation and its Japanese American citizens out of the racialized fear and deep-seated racial distrust by the American populace and a War Department hierarchy overwrought in war hysteria and newsreel images of, quote, a savage and inhumane Asian people bent on destruction, implacable conquest, and dissolution of the values of freedom and democracy cemented into the cornerstone of an American national identity. This racialized war hysteria and race prejudice, which had its first sources out of the 1924 Immigration Exclusion Act that halted Japanese immigration to the United States, preceded by the 1913 Alien Land Law that prohibited Japanese aliens pre-citizenship from owning land in California, took new form in messaging and in written content of newspapers and advertising. The coverage, of world events, and especially World War II, was sensationalized in newsprint, in movie theater newsreels, cartoons, movies, and advertising. News reported was taken as truth for an America that received daily refrigerator ice blocks and milk bottles and newspapers from the newspaper boy on his bicycle route. For this America, their government would never lie or create a reality of alternative facts or, quote, fake news. For this America, their government would never suppress the truth. No more clearly is this American idealism contradicted than what was written and printed as truth by San Francisco journalists in the journalism of Bay Area newspapers and news writing in 1942 and beyond. Neither TV or the internet existed. Fact-checking was decades away, and, quote, fake news and propaganda was readily given and supported by the U.S. war government. Within the framework of my short presentation, let's take a brief tour of some of the print documents that you can view in room 4 in my exhibition above us upstairs. So we begin with 1937, pre-Pearl Harbor Life magazine that looks at, is a feature article on the Nisei, the Japanese who are already here and who are mostly in this particular focus in Southern California. This particular Life magazine, the original, is upstairs and you can view it and read it, at least the first page. Here again, we're looking at the impression. This is who the Japanese people were announced in the official, the important document of the time, which was Life magazine. In contrast, post-Pearl Harbor, we see the dramatic race baiting, messaging of the War Department, war bond advertising. Next slide. We see fake news, war hysteria, Japanese planes tried to attack San Francisco. This is from, what is this from? December 9th, 1941. War hysteria, printed and accepted as being true. This actually did not happen, but the idea was that after Pearl Harbor, the daring Japanese fleet would, the air fleet, for lack of a better term, would actually come to and flew over the Golden Gate Bridge and was on their way to not only Presidio, but to attack Alameda. Not so true. Again, the Stockton record is repeating the same. Not Japanese planes. Notice the difference in tone? The Chronicle before says Japanese, let's see if I can go back. The Chronicle states an extra, Japanese planes tried to attack SF, but here the Stockton record is saying hazardous jet plane. So the jet plane, so it's already this idea, enemy aircraft fly over Bay Industries and visit Mar Island. Keep cool, turn out lights, get blackout signal stuff. How do we create fear? By creating this kind of journalism. Another one, Air Fleet. This is from June 34th. I have two of these images. June 34th, 1942, War Extra. The Call Bulletin is the afternoon paper. They are the most guilty of this sensationalized yellow journalism that William Randolph Hearst famously started. Yet another one, Bomb Midway, New Alaska Raid Scene. That the Japanese are not only not stopping at Pearl Harbor, but they're coming to Alaska. Of course, Alaska, I don't believe, is a state yet, but the fact that it's on the West Coast brings this forward that we are right to have made this decision about Executive Order 9066 because we are threatened. It is a messaging that created a dangerous precedent that we are dealing with even today. More of the same. Let's look at this slide. So this is an interesting slide as well. The Call Bulletin, here's the definition by 1942. Coast ban on Japs is okay, you can't see it at the end. The Rossi orders evictions in SF Japtown. Another story about Jap evacuees. Loyal NIPS separated, FR says, as in Franklin Roosevelt, that there were loyal NIPS. There were actually loyal NIPS, but yet we have to put them away. So, it's crazy in many ways. But this is also quite interesting. This is also from 1942. This is very, this you can view upstairs. This is very controversial. FBI, under J. Edgar Hoover, jails 80 in raids on pro-Jap army. What's the pro-Jap army? Pro-Jap Army is a group of citizens all across the country who have come together in the belief that this interning of American citizens who happen to be Japanese was wrong, morally wrong. What did the FBI do was they did raids across the country. Have we heard about raids across the country lately? Okay. Of the heads of 3 Muslim and Negro cults who were progressive, believing that and coming together to support their Japanese American citizen friends. That is really astonishing, and that is a document of history that's very important that we remember and look forward into the future, because here you are in 1942 talking in terms of what we're hearing about today regarding dreamers and undocumented immigrants, workers, etc. Another one, 10 shot in the California Jap riot. What's the Jap riot? The Jap riot is people who are saying, we don't believe, we are not going to accept this request for us to evacuate and go into the relocation centers. Another one that's very interesting. So Tule Lake is, of course, in way up near the Oregon border. Army finds Jap arsenal at Tule Lake with knives, guns, crude bombs uncovered. Isn't it good we put these people away because look, they're doing that, even put away. This is a messaging that's dangerous, but is also very corrosive in terms of how we see, how we present people and people's history and the image and the face of people into the world. But this is here, documented. This is San Francisco newspaper. This is a newspaper that many people, your uncles, your aunts, your grandparents, or friends might have bought on that particular day. This is their understanding of the war. This is their understanding of the experience of the Japanese internment, that the Japanese Americans, who we already, according to the news media, should be fearful of, are yet attempting some kind of subversive, if you will, rebellion, documented in print. Another one. Yet, this is again from 1940. This is from 43. This is very interesting. Pro-Tule Lake mystery hanging. FBI discovers Jap center's finances tangled, some of the records missing, but yet what is behind this is not necessarily what it appears to be. It's misleading. It's actually what happened in many of these relocation centers is there was such an emotional response to being put away There's an American, if you will, experience of attempt to survive, but an American experience as one saw, let's say, or one can imagine or has been written about in the concentration camps in Germany and Poland and Czechoslovakia, of the difficulty of survival and of accepting this outcome. So some of the mystery hangings actually are suicides. And there's discussion in some of the books about people trying to escape, being shot against their will, just as the classic American image, or the images we have come to see in the documentaries about Arbeit macht frei, and all of the barbed wire people trying to get out or being shot by the Nazi guards. In the relocation centers, there was also something like that going on. And innocent people who were caught up, who decided that they could not continue, had an experience that was also mirrored in Europe. This one is particularly notable. I have this, you can view it upstairs. The Oakland Tribune, Thursday, March 27, 1943, at Tule Lake. Japs make merry with dancing music and relocation center. For the camera, reported to us, everything is okay. We're making merry, we're having fun. The doctors who have been asked to come to Tule Lake to look at the reports of illness, of tuberculosis-like experiences and the issues, the respiratory problems, because of the location of many of these centers were in the middle of nowhere and hot and cold and desert. People, elders, young people were having all kinds of health problems, but yet, to the American public, imprinted and documented right here in the Oakland Tribune, doctors find that Tule Lake Japs are healthy. What does that say? It says, evacuees enjoy normal recreational and religious activities. So they're okay, nothing to worry about, right? So not so necessarily. Here's more of the detail on that. And then we go again to this dissonance, if you will, shown in the newsprint. We have from Oakland, doctors find Tule Lake Japs healthy, evacuees enjoy normal recreational, religious activities. This is written by Oakland journalist for the Oakland Tribune, Don Thomas. And as you have the contrast in San Francisco, in the similar time period, you have the Japanese have an arsenal. It's been discovered that they're evil, that they're going to break out, and they're going to do something and come at us. They're going to, like, if you will, like a prison break, if you will. So what a contrast. What a contrast of messaging. So that's very important. And so, again, messaging is clearly here. This is a call bulletin. Again, the call bulletin, you'll see, I have these newspapers upstairs, so you can actually look at them. And they're close enough that you can actually read them. Many people have been photographing them. I'm okay with that. When you put them on social media or Instagram, just say where they came from, if possible. So the war extra, U.S. bombs, Japan, Tokyo, 3 other cities, hitting a 1,000-mile daylight rate. Imagine, if you will, if this had happened in the tri-state area of New York City, Philadelphia, Wilmington, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. Imagine what the experience would have been for us. But yet, this is stated, yes, Tokyo, 3 other cities hit in a 1,000-mile daylight rate in the daytime, but the human tragedy of what that means is lost to us. Yes, we understand we're at war, but there's a human tragedy in the story behind all of this, which I'm reporting. Again, the bottom page from the same time period, from 43. Thousands of Japs killed at Midway. Easily said, but what is the experience? Thousands of people. There is human life here that we're also talking about. Here in my last image is a classic from the San Francisco Examiner. This is a Sunday paper. This is the pullout. This is a special, kind of like the calendar section, the San Francisco Chronicle today. This was of the Examiner. Huge oversight. I have this. How Japan-Mongol hordes can be defeated. A 2-pronged spear would be largest, what does it say? 2-pronged spear would be largest pioneers movement in warfare's history with the glorious and victorious General MacArthur. An amazing statement of how we see and how we projected our understanding of of a group of American citizens who just happened to be of a different race during wartime. It's a very serious document. It's a very important document that we understand going forward how we have to look at life differently. I'm going to cut to my conclusion here in my final group shot. Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. Nobody knows my sorrow. May we honor the lost and forgotten and tell their stories evermore in order that their troubles and sorrows, our troubles and our sorrows, may never again repeat during our lifetime. Thank you.